You ever notice how the minute you stop showing up for people who took you for granted, they start to notice your absence, not when you're texting, not when you're calling, but the moment you go silent? The moment you start pouring that energy into yourself, they feel it. Oh, they feel it. They say silence is golden, but in truth, it's far more powerful than that. Silence is a weapon. Silence is a statement. Silence, when used right, shakes the ground harder than any angry word or desperate plea ever could. When someone walks out of your life, when someone disrespects your presence, your first instinct might be to talk, to explain, to defend, to plead your case. But that instinct, that urge to be understood, is where many people lose their power. You don't owe anyone a debate over your worth. You don't need to raise your voice to prove your value. That's not where your strength lies. Real strength, real self-control, it's in the silence you choose. You see, when you go quiet, not out of spite, but out of clarity, people start to hear themselves louder. They replay what they said, how they moved, what they took for granted. And in that quiet space you create, they face something scarier than your anger, themselves. That's the mirror they can't avoid when your voice disappears. That's the echo that haunts them when your energy is no longer there to distract them from their own actions. And here's the truth most won't admit. People remember absence far longer than presence. When you're always available, always explaining, always showing up for people who don't match your energy, you become easy to overlook. But remove yourself, withdraw with grace. Suddenly your silence becomes a loud reminder of everything you brought to the table. Energy, presence, consistency, care. Don't text to check in. Don't post to be seen. Don't drop hints hoping they notice. Just fall all the way back and put that energy into building yourself up, into reading, healing, working, praying, evolving. Let them wonder. Let them miss you in confusion. Let them realize what they lost without you needing to say a word. Silence forces people to sit in the consequences of their choices. And the beauty of it is this: you're not being petty. You're not trying to manipulate anyone. You're just choosing peace over performance, dignity over drama. Your energy becomes sacred, and you no longer throw it at people who treat it like it's disposable. There's a kind of discipline in silence, and not everyone has it. It takes strength to say nothing when everything in you wants to scream. It takes restraint to walk away instead of clap back. But the ones who master it, they're the ones who people always circle back to, not because they begged, but because their absence left a mark. When your silence is grounded in self-respect, it becomes magnetic. You don't chase, you don't convince, you simply become undeniable. And those who fumbled you will start to feel the shift. They'll check your page, ask about you, try to tap back into what they didn't protect when they had it. But by then, you'll be too far along, too at peace, too healed to be bothered. So own your silence. Let it speak for you. Let it be the proof that you don't engage with disrespect, that you don't fight to stay where you're not valued. That's the kind of silence that echoes louder than any shout, and that's the silence that brings them back. Crawling, when you decide to level up quietly, you make a decision that few have the patience or discipline to commit to. In a world that rewards noise, that encourages you to announce every move, every plan, every achievement, you choose to move in silence. And that's where your true power lies. Because elevation, when done in private, builds something stronger than applause. It builds character. When no one's watching, there's no pressure to perform. You're not faking progress for clout. You're not doing it for validation. You're doing it because you said you would. That's real discipline. That's real growth. See, when you level up quietly, there are no distractions. You're not splitting your energy between the work and the performance. You're not stopping halfway through your journey to post about how far you've come. You're just doing the work, day by day, step by step, and that consistency, that silence, it sharpens you. There's power in being underestimated. When people don't know what you're building, they can't block it. They can't project their doubts onto it. They can't rush it or sabotage it. Your silence becomes your shelter. It's not about secrecy out of fear, it's about privacy out of purpose. You protect what matters because you know not everything sacred needs to be shared. And the truth is, most people talk about success more than they build it. They post, they brag, they seek likes for plans they haven't followed through on. But when you level up quietly, your results do the talking. There's no need to convince anyone. One day they look up, and you're not where they left you. You didn't argue, you didn't announce, you just moved. That kind of growth, it shocks people. It humbles them. Especially the ones who doubted you, the ones who walked away thinking you'd stay stuck, stay broken, stay needing them. But you didn't. You built something in the dark. Something stronger, deeper, real. While they were watching others, you were watching yourself. While they were busy talking, you were busy transforming. And here's the beautiful part. Your quiet work starts to speak louder than any announcement could. It shows up in your confidence, in your peace, in your habits. People can feel that you're different, even if they can't explain how. Your energy shifts. You walk into rooms and you don't need to say much, because the work you did in silence already changed your posture. Leveling up quietly is also about humility. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You're not in competition. You're not chasing comparison. You're focused on becoming the version of yourself that you know you're meant to be. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it's solid. And when you finally arrive at your next level, you do so grounded, rooted, ready. You see, when you level up quietly, the reward isn't just what you achieve. It's who you become in the process. You become disciplined, focused, resilient. You stop needing approval. You stop fearing silence. You become the kind of person who doesn't flinch when people doubt you, because you've already proven it to yourself. And eventually they'll ask, when did this happen? And all you'll do is smile, because the answer is simple. It happened when you stopped talking about it and started becoming it. There's a moment after betrayal, after disrespect, after being overlooked, where your soul wants to react. It wants to scream. It wants to show them who they messed with. You imagine the perfect comeback, the flawless moment where you get the upper hand. It's human, that fire, that rage, that hunger to prove something. It's real. But that path, the one that seeks revenge, it keeps you tied to the pain. It keeps you orbiting the wound instead of healing from it. What you need is not revenge. What you need is results. See, revenge is loud. Revenge needs an audience. It wants recognition. It wants people to see you get back at someone. But that need for revenge, it drains your energy. It keeps you focused on them, on their choices, their actions, their mistakes. And while you're plotting your response, your elevation is on pause. Your growth is on hold. But when you shift that energy, when you stop trying to hurt them and start building you, that's when the game changes. That's when the real transformation begins, because the greatest clapback isn't a petty move. It's not a quote on your story or a post aimed at someone who ghosted you. It's success, quiet, undeniable, consistent success. When you walk away from the need to prove something to anyone but yourself, you free yourself. You don't need to match their energy. You don't need to get even. You just need to rise. They expected you to fold. They expected you to fall apart, and maybe, for a while, you did. But you chose to turn your breakdown into a breakthrough. You took the pain and used it as fuel. That's strength. That's power. Results speak in a language no one can argue with. You don't have to explain yourself when your life starts to glow. You don't have to throw shade when your peace is unshakable. People notice when you start moving differently, when you're no longer triggered by their presence. when you don't flinch at their name, when you've outgrown the version of yourself that once tolerated their chaos. No revenge, just results. That means you stop trying to teach people a lesson and start focusing on your own learning. You grow, you evolve, you build. You don't wait for karma to do the work. You become the karma, not by hurting them, but by healing you, by elevating so far above the drama that they couldn't reach you even if they tried. And when they come back, because they always come back, it won't be to the same version of you they walked away from. They'll be looking for the old you, the one who tolerated, explained, begged, chased. But that version, it no longer exists. You didn't upgrade to get back at them. You upgraded because you realized you deserved better. That's a different kind of victory. You don't need revenge when your life is the proof. You don't need revenge when you're doing better than you ever did when they were in it. Let them wonder, let them regret. Let them feel the absence of the version of you they didn't protect. But you stay focused, you stay humble, you keep building, because real power is not in how loud you can clap back. It's in how gracefully you can rise. Let your peace confuse them. Let your silence challenge them. Let your results haunt them. No revenge, just results. Every single time. There's something undeniable about a person who truly respects themselves. You can feel it in how they walk into a room, how they speak, how they move through the world without begging for attention or approval. Self-respect doesn't need to announce itself. It radiates, and the moment you start honoring yourself, something powerful happens. People start to respond to you differently. Some are drawn in, some fall back. But either way, your energy commands a shift. See, self-respect isn't about ego. It's not arrogance. It's not looking down on others or thinking you're above anyone. It's about knowing your value without having to argue for it. It's about setting standards and actually enforcing them. It's saying, I love you, but I won't betray myself to keep you. That kind of strength is rare, and that's exactly why it's magnetic. When you respect yourself, you stop over-explaining. You stop chasing people who make you feel like you're hard to love. You stop begging for the bare minimum. You don't wait for someone to validate your worth. You live like it's already proven, because it is. You don't have to convince anybody to treat you right when you treat yourself with dignity every day. People take notes from how you show up for yourself. And here's the thing, when you carry self-respect, it makes people think twice about how they approach you. They can feel the boundaries without you needing to draw a line in red. They sense that they can't play the same games they used to, that they either come correct or not at all, because your peace is expensive. And your energy is not up for discount. The ones who can't meet you there, they'll distance themselves, and that's okay. Let them. Don't shrink to make them stay. Don't dim your light just to make them comfortable. People who belong in your life won't be intimidated by your standards. They'll rise to meet them, and those who walk away, let them go with grace. You don't need everyone. You need alignment. Self-respect also transforms the relationship you have with yourself. You stop tolerating toxic thoughts. You stop settling for almosts. You stop procrastinating on your dreams. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission to be great. You realize that the way you speak to yourself matters. The way you treat your body, your mind, your time. It all reflects how much you value who you are. And the more you honor yourself, the more life reflects that back to you. Opportunities open up. People treat you with more care. Not because you begged for it, but because your energy silently demanded it. You no longer have to fight for a seat at any table. You understand that if you're not welcomed somewhere, you build your own table, and you fill it with people who respect you not because of what you give, but because of who you are. There's something unstoppable about a person who's rooted in self-respect. You can't manipulate them with flattery. You can't control them with fear. You can't distract them with chaos. They know who they are, what they want, and what they deserve. And they're not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't honor that. When you embody that kind of energy, you become magnetic, not just in relationships, but in purpose, in peace, in power. You attract what matches your frequency and repel what doesn't. You stop settling, and you start choosing. Choosing yourself, choosing better, choosing peace over drama, growth over comfort, and dignity over desperation. And once you get there, once you truly own your worth, there's no going back, because self-respect doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself, forever. There's a moment we all face when someone we cared about walks away. May be a friend, a partner, someone we thought would stay. And in that moment, the instinct is to chase, to fix it, to beg, to prove that we're worth staying for, because our hearts don't always accept what our eyes can clearly see, that they left, and chasing what left rarely brings peace. It only deepens the wound. But here's the truth. Anything or anyone that truly belongs in your life won't need to be chased. What's real doesn't run from you. What's aligned doesn't require you to lose yourself trying to hold it together. And what walks away without a second thought already told you everything you need to know. Let them go. You don't need to convince someone to see your worth. You don't need to remind them of your loyalty, your love, your effort. If they couldn't see it while they had it, if they needed to leave to realize what you brought to the table, that realization is theirs to carry, not yours to wait around for. Chasing someone who walked away is the fastest way to abandon yourself. You start making excuses for them. You minimize your own pain. You compromise your standards, your needs, your truth, just to keep someone in your life who already decided you weren't enough to stay for. That's not love. That's desperation disguised as devotion, and it will never end well. The people who walk away create space, space you might not have asked for, but space you can now use to grow, to heal, to rediscover who you are without the weight of someone who didn't choose you. It hurts, no denying that, but some departures are divine, some goodbyes are protection, and some endings are redirections to something better. Don't chase them, don't beg them, don't try to remind them of who you are. Be who you are. Stay grounded in your truth. Respect yourself enough to stand still while they run. If they come back, let it be because they truly see your value, not because you hunted them down and reminded them of it. And even then, be honest with yourself about whether they deserve access to you again. Sometimes the hardest lesson is realizing that closure isn't always given. It's made. It's found in your own acceptance, not in their apology. And when you stop chasing what left, when you turn that energy inward, you start to rebuild what matters most. Yourself, worth. You reclaim your dignity. You remember that someone walking away is not a reflection of your lack, but often a reflection of their own confusion, immaturity, or inability to love properly. The moment you stop running after those who left is the moment you start returning home to yourself. You start pouring into your peace, your goals, your healing. You stop performing for people who don't value the show, and little by little the urge to chase fades, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring more about you. You owe it to yourself to be chosen without asking, to be loved without conditions, to be kept without pleading, and anyone who makes you feel like you have to earn their presence by chasing them isn't someone who values you. They're someone who benefits from your self-neglect. So let them walk. Let them live with the decision they made. You keep rising, keep healing, keep becoming, Because when you stop chasing what left, you start attracting what's meant. And what's meant never has to be begged to stay. There is something powerful, almost unshakable, about a person who is unapologetically themselves, someone who isn't performing, isn't shrinking, isn't molding themselves into something more palatable, just to be accepted. That kind of authenticity, it's rare and it's bold, because being yourself fully in a world that constantly tells you to be something else takes courage. It means showing up even when people don't get you. It means standing firm in your values, your quirks, your voice, without waiting for permission, and the truth is, not everyone will understand you. Some will be uncomfortable with your confidence, some will misinterpret your silence. Some will label your truth as too much or not enough. Let them. Being unapologetically you isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. It's about no longer editing who you are to fit into rooms that were never built for the real you in the first place. When you own your identity, your story, your flaws, your strength, you stop attracting people who only want a watered-down version of you. You start connecting with people who see you, who get you, who value you for who you truly are. You weren't created to blend in. You weren't designed to play small. The very things people told you to hide might be the exact things that make you unforgettable. So take up space. Speak your truth. Wear your boldness like armor. You don't owe anyone an apology for being who you are. The right people won't need you to tone it down. The right path won't require you to lose yourself. Be real. Be loud if you're loud. Be soft if you're soft. Just don't be what you're not. Because the moment you decide to be unapologetically you, that's the moment life starts to rise up and meet you where you truly belong.